Hey guys, it's Drabble Geek here, and welcome back to Ace Attorney, where we are going to be finishing up the last trial segment of the stolen turnabout, where we somehow prove that Atme is actually the murderer, even though I was 100% confident in the fact that he was actually the thief, but apparently that's not true. And I have no clue what's going on, but hopefully by the end of this, we can, with the evidence we have. My sis. I could have sworn I heard Mia's voice. So then, she's still alive? Inside your heart. Nicky boy. Oh, Miss Delight. Is it true that Detective is the real killer? To be honest, we don't have any definite proof. Okay, so it's not just me who's throwing, like, stuff in the dark. It sounds like Phoenix is as well. But he's the only one who could have done it. But wasn't he at Lordy Taylor that night? Not to mention, we don't exactly know his motive. I mean, why would Detective Atme want to kill Kane Bullard? Oops, it's almost time. Better get back to the courtroom. I need to find some solid proof, and it's gotta happen sooner rather than later. So Phoenix is also just going on a hunch. Okay, that makes me feel a lot better. And Godot will hopefully not be as annoying. Now then, this court is back in session. Mr. Luke Atme, please take the stand. Well, well, how do you do, sir lawyer? I never would have thought to see you acting so recklessly. You couldn't let them hand down your verdict just yet. Not when it would have given you your perfect alibi. An alibi by the name of Master Mask. I'm sorry. I'm afraid even the great Luke Atme has no clue what you mean. Of course, I have been in the next courtroom ever since 10 o'clock this morning. I'm afraid there's no way I could know what's been going on in here. You've been in the defendant's seat all day long, correct? Being tried as Master Mask? Indeed, it's truly child's play to fool the ignorant masses. Not only did the poor fools ask me to protect their valuables, they even gave me a generous reward upon returning their own property to them. Take this red diamond ring upon my divine finger, for example. Wait. Where's the blackmail note? If you don't, I'll take that red diamond you received the other day instead. Okay. So we're going to take that Atme stole the red diamond. Because the entire time we've known him, he's had that ring. Okay. I'm more on the line of Atme could be the murderer now. Take this red diamond ring that sparkles upon my divine finger, for example. So you continue to insist that you are, in fact, Master Mask? Of course. Very well then, Luke Atme, let us begin with a simple question. On October 12th at 1 a.m., King Bullard was murdered. Where were you at that time? One without knowledge lacks even the knowledge that he should be ashamed of himself. But don't worry, I will not hold it against you, Sir Judge. Thanks? Oh no. Alright, Mr. Atme, the night of the murder, speak. We're all ears. As you wish, Sir Prosecutor. I was stealing the urn as Master Mask, just as I announced I would. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. Photograph containing no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. Wait, yeah, that box stain should be there. But where's the... And I'm looking at this corner in here that means the box did fall, but I don't remember that having the stain. But also, where's the statue? The time at which the camera captured mask to mask was the same as the murder. Unless you changed the computer system time. It seems the main point of discussion will be the scene of the crime scene. Everything else until now was all part of his plan. There has to be a secret to this picture as well. Even the great Master Mask cannot be in two places at once. Now then, if you'll excuse me, I have a verdict to receive. Unfortunately, Mr. Atme, we still have to do your cross-examination. A fool is too foolish to know that he is a fool. I think he's trying to say that you're full of it, Nick. The only thing that's full of it is his alibi. Okay, that's nice. Let me save it right here. It's been lots of talk. I was stealing the urn just as I announced I would. And actually, I want to look at the photo. Alright. So we have, it looks the same, the paint splotch. Assuming that he is holding it with the paint there, that might be the right one. Like, I think the only point of contention would have to be the time. And if the time didn't take place right there. Okay, I was stealing the urn just as I announced I would. So this photograph is proof, correct? Indeed it is. And the man in the photo is certainly wearing a mask. That is why I called mask to mask. But conveniently, that also means that there's no way to tell who this really is. What do you mean? Ha. Are you saying that this is not, in fact, Luke at me? That it could be an accomplice dressed as mask to mask to create an alibi? Oh hoy, what an interesting idea. That was another one of my ideas as well. Are you saying that I, Lone Wolf Look, had an accomplice? I don't think any of these people would work with him. If Luke at me was at KB security during the murder, then the master mask in this picture has to be a fake. Then there really was an accomplice, but right now I have no idea who it was. I don't have any idea right now either. Baseless objections are just what this guy wants. There's gotta be another way, and I'm going to find it. By pressing him on other stuff. I believe Adrian Andrews hired you at one point. That's right. That was over 20 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. You sent the calling card to Lordy Taylor 10 days before the heist. That would mean you sent out the card after you began your security watch, right? Indeed, there was no reason why I couldn't do both jobs at once. It was the perfect opportunity to steal my latest target. I see. You truly are evil, aren't you? Yes, evil is what I am. Hey Nick, isn't there something odd about this? Detective Atman was always proud of his ace detective skills, right? But if the urn was stolen from Lordy Taylor while he was the only one watching it, he'd have no way to maintain his perfect ace detective persona. You know, that's true. It is kind of odd. To security. Priceless work of art. I'm not too sure actually. Ronnie's testimony. I'm not too sure right now. Alright. Photograph contains no words. So by photograph, you mean this piece of evidence here? Is that correct? Indeed it is. That is that. The very thing that proves I committed the crime. The very thing that proves you committed the crime? When you think about it, it's really odd. You say that almost as if you had this picture taken on purpose. He was simply caught by the very camera that he had set up. We all have days like that. Indeed, it turned out that there was no such thing as the perfect crime after all. Life is truly an ironic thing. A sad blue melody. Looks like I better gather more information for now. If he's truly the killer, there's gotta be something phony in that photo. Time at which the camera captured the mask is the same as the murder. How do you know that? About the camera that took this photograph. Oh, come on now. It's all too clear what you're thinking. Huh? You think I altered the timestamp on the photograph, don't you? Yes? I'm afraid that's impossible. The camera was set up by Lordy Taylor, and on top of that, it was Lordy Taylor's staff that printed that picture's data. Unfortunately for the defense, there's no way that picture could have been altered. I see. Looks like I better find something else that could be suspicious. So this alibi is false. It has to be, or he couldn't have killed Mr. Bullard at KB Security. There are two possibilities. Either mask to mask and the photo is a fake, or the photo itself is. Actually, let me look at the picture of mask to mask. Right, so in the picture, this thing in the middle of his not there, which would indicate him not being mask to mask. Photograph. I mean, I'm just wondering if it needs to be on this photograph part or... kind of want to see if I can... Oops. Indeed it is. This is taking too long. Let's go. That's the accomplice bit. Yeah, he definitely does not have that, photograph container words. Okay, I don't know where. There has to be something. Nope. Crap. I'm going to try the photograph. Nope. Maybe it's the first one that I'm supposed to do. Photograph contains no words. Nope. Nope. Yeah, that was bad. I was stealing the urn, just as I announced. I had more than enough to prepare. Photograph contains no words. It's the same as the murder. Broken 2 weeks ago. 1 a.m.-ish, that's about the same. What? Was the Tear of Amanon red. I think that's what it is. I can't tell if that's his. Yeah, no, it's blue. If that's it on the left. Found in the shadows. You stop at 1 a.m. If you don't want your true identity revealed. Well, we know this is false, so went off around 1 a.m. I'm honestly not too sure. I mean, there's nothing more to question about the time. The photograph contains no words. And it couldn't be Kane Bullard, it couldn't be Ronnie. The only thing that matches up is what if Desiree was actually in on it? But I don't think so. That would go against everything. Let me look at the people. He was in charge of the initial investigation. I mean, unless it's that he, I can't think. I don't think it'd be Andrews. Like, the only one that makes sense in connecting is that Atme wanted to most definitely catch Mask to Mask, and since Bullard was helping Mask to Mask commit all these crimes, he also had to go, or he would have continued as well. Like, that's the only thing I can think of. But I don't know. I'm going to get a hint. Oh, I would have never thought to do that. So, I'm supposed to press on 2 and 4 and then re-press on 3. That's weird. There's no way I would have. Like, I went through all of them in order. So let's just skip through this since indeed there's no reason why I couldn't do both at once. Okay. Then let's do this one. Can't be the timestamp. Alright, and now I press on 3. Contains no words. So by photograph, you mean this piece of evidence here, is that correct? Indeed it is. That it is. The very thing that proves I committed the crime. The very thing that proves you committed the crime. Surely, even you understand by now. Marie Taylor provided that camera. There's no way I could have tampered with it. That means I could not have killed Kane Bullard unless I had an accomplice. Yeah, he did say something different that time. Come on, think long and hard about that night. The basement warehouse and this picture that supposedly captures it. It's gotta be here. Isn't there something funny about this picture? Are you implying that this picture is a fake? You bet I am. There's definitely something strange about this picture. We took a look around the basement warehouse that night before the theft took place. And there's something in this photo that doesn't match my memory of that night. Very well, and let's hear what you have to say. It's the statue, because it moved, isn't it? It'd be in this area. The funny part is right here. Why this? This is a blood stain. Ah, blood. Now this case is getting interesting. Not exactly. The stain is actually pink paint. Oh, just paint? And peach colored at that. From blood to peaches, the judge sure loves going on his wild tangents. The problem with this photo is not the paint. The problem is when you consider the layout of the basement warehouse. Turns out that something that should be there is nowhere to be seen. Well, Mr. Wright? What is supposed to be in this picture instead of the paint stains? The statue. The supervisor of the treasure exhibit stated the following. Well, there's a good reason for that. On the day of the crime around noon, that golden statue just happened to arrive from the mountain training hall. I realized that the statue would be the perfect size for covering up the paint stains. That's why I put it where you first saw it. I myself was there that night the theft took place and saw the statue in that spot. If the picture was truly taken on that night, then that statue should have been there. But when I went there the day after the theft, that statue of the old bag was sitting in the corner. Perhaps it was somehow pushed there accidentally. Your Honor, the statue is slightly larger than yourself and quite heavy. It would take more than an accidental push to move it that distance. Ha, in that case, can you prove it? Can you give us the rhyme and reason as to why that statue was moved that night? Can you do it, Nick? Never mind who moved it. The real question is, why did they move it? Well, Mr. Wright, I hope you are prepared with your answer. Now then, who was the one who moved the golden statue the night of the crime? I mean, there's no reason for Adrian to do it. I'm not sure. Who moved the statue? Like, the most obvious answer would be at me. Because he's literally the only one who was supposed to be there. That's the only thing I can come up with. Because he had to be there. Or this crime makes no sense. The one who moved the statue is none other than Luke at me. Come now, Sir Lawyer. There you go again on one of your strange delusions. Mr. Wright, what basis do you have for your strange delusions? It's very simple. The witness was the only one in the basement warehouse that night. That is indeed very simple. However, why would I want to move a heavy golden statue? Reason for moving the golden statue, here's where our battle really begins. Well, Mr. Wright, what reason did the witness have to move that statue? This is about to go further, isn't it? The reason can be found here in this photograph. Look at me, you pretended to be masked to mask, to create an alibi by showing you were at Lordly Taylor that night. But this photograph contains a single fatal flaw. If the statue had been there, your lie would be exposed like cheap film at a drugstore. That is why you had to move the statue. A single fatal flaw? Interesting theory. Please enlighten us. Just where in this picture does the lie exist? Is it the fact that his thingy is missing? The lie is mask to mask. Are you saying this mask to mask is a fake? Ha. You know, I really wish you would start acting more responsibly. Huh? The current question is, why was the golden statue moved? So what possible connection could there be with mask to mask's identity? Oh buggers. Your face has oh buggers written all over it. That's a penalty for you. I'll show you again. Why? Is it the spot right here? The line of this photo is somewhere around here. Jumping to conclusions again. As the Yiddish proverb goes, a half-truth is a whole lie. Keep lying like that. There was some reason the culprit didn't want the statue in the picture. I'll ask you again. Why would the statue not want to be in the picture? The statue would have been here. Would that mean that there would have to be something in this area? I'm not sure. Yeah, jumping to conclusions I am. Reason can be found. Was it the supposed fight that Acme had? Would it be the time? Naturally, the lie in this photo is the timestamp. What do you mean? I'll tell you exactly what I mean. On the night in question, Luke Atme went to KB Security and murdered Kane Bullard. Therefore, it's obvious. It would have been impossible for him to have been at Lordly Taylor at this time. But what does that have to do with the statue being moved? Remember, if you will, Your Honor. When was the statue placed besides the warehouse door? Well, the statue was taken down to the warehouse on the day of the crime, and was placed there in order to cover up the paint. Exactly. Luke Atme had already decided on the time when he was going to kill the victim, and so in order to create an alibi for that time, he took this picture days before the murder took place. What the? Of course, the statue hadn't been brought down to the basement warehouse yet. Ah, so on the day of the crime, Mr. Atme must have been quite nervous. As nervous as a long-tailed cat in a rocking chair factory, so to speak. What kind of proverb or saying is that? Why? Because something that wasn't supposed to be there had been brought down in place where it wasn't supposed to be. And that is why Luke Atme had to move the statue on the night of the murder. He did it to make the room match with the way it had been in his photo. So he did both the theft and the murder? Okay, that makes sense. Order. Mr. Atme, is this true? One moment, Your Honor. Have you forgotten this? What's that? The data for the basement warehouse computer. According to this, the camera did indeed go off on the night of the crime. It's true that camera had been set up by Lordly Taylor's staff. However, the program used to manage the data was yours. That alone would have allowed you to tamper with the data. Yep. It was the timestamp. That had to have been it instead of an accomplice. Order, order, Mr. Godot. What is the meaning of this? Oh, gosh. Godot, I warned you about making me wait. Now put that coffee down. My 11th cup. I promised to drink no more than 17 during a trial, which means I'm still good till the last drop. However, the fence has a very good point. A good point. So what? We are all but travelers on the road of infinite points. I think he's got his points mixed up with his other points. So you say this photograph was taken ahead of time, and that the statue was moved in order to make it match. That's a very interesting idea. However, there's one point that cannot be denied, which is that your 12th cup? That it's only a possibility. Men that are trapped by the chains of maybe can never reach their dreams. That's very true. No way, don't fall for that, Your Honor. Hey, Mr. Damask. Yes? There's no funny business in your actions as Mask to Mask. There should be no problem with you telling us your strategy. So let's hear it. Mean, isn't it? I mean, I know in the American justice system it's innocent until proven guilty, but in this game it's guilty unless you prove that someone else did it. And it's just weird. Tell us about your plan to see the sacred urn. Alright, I first received the request from Lordy Taylor about 20 days ago. The urn was placed in a box in Zizarvi. It was then sent to the warehouse. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime. I knew it was extremely valuable treasure, so I sent my cart 10 days beforehand. I then handled security by myself to ensure that my crime would go smoothly. At last, I held the urn in my hands for the first time at 1 a.m. on October 12th. But did you know it was broken? That's pretty much all the stuff we heard before, isn't it? Yeah, but we'll find the truth hidden in the nuggets of new information he gave us. Witness, you're sure there's no mistakes this time? Zavari. You still haven't explained the broken sword. Unless that was what you used to hit Ronnie in the back of the head. Well then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Yep, let me save before we go down this rabbit hole and... Alright, I first received the request 20 days ago. He said that before. It was sent to the warehouse. You mean this box? Yes, that pathetic box. Lady Andrews was especially taken with that urn, and she wouldn't let anyone enter the storeroom, not even me. Huh, interesting new tidbit. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime. So you're sure that you had never seen the urn before? Indeed. You may ask Lady Andrews to confirm for yourself. My security was focused on the entirety of the entrance to that warehouse. However, look at me, let no information slip whatsoever through my fingers. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure. You mean this calling card? That's right. That is, without a doubt, my calling card. I guess Mr. Light didn't make this after all. Of course, because Atme knew about the emblem. Making this card authentic would have been child's play for him. I then handled security by myself to ensure the crime would go smoothly. Then no one entered the basement warehouse. Unfortunately, there were many different treasures being taken there. Thus, for a period of approximately 5 days, people were indeed going in and out of the warehouse. At last, I held the urn in my hands for the first time. And this is the photo that proves that, huh? Indeed, to be honest, even if a photo was taken, I didn't think it would matter terribly much. Hey, Nick, this photo is a fake. Detective Atme might have stolen the urn whenever this was taken. That's true. You know, he's been saying that he never saw the urn until that night. We can prove that he's lying. There, we can wrap this up and put a bow on it. We need to take a good hard look at the court record. Detective's been covering up his tracks. That he took this photo well before the actual night of the crime. That he had never seen the urn before he stole it. We need to prove that he's lying. Well, the same day that Miss Andrews got the box, she broke the box. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Although that does give me a chance to lurk around here without... Or delete Taylor. I mean, he would have had to have seen it before the urn was placed. First, complete the quest. The urn was placed in a box set in the warehouse. I held the urn for the first time. That's actually technically correct. I'm gonna guess with this. Nope. Thank for making accusations. She dropped it 2 weeks ago, which makes it 14 days, give or take. Wooden box. Maybe not the publicity fixture. I mean, unless I can prove that's not the box with the paint on it. Because if it does have paint on it, that's the thing. It's the only thing I can think of, to be honest. That is not the actual box. I mean, other than the fact that the only proof that he would have known what it was prior to knowing it was an urn prior to then would be because of the photo, or if he saw it. Extremely, my card 10 days beforehand. To care. I mean, this like he would have had to have known about the urn. This also says something about an urn. Wait, this speckled urn. It's not speckled. And because she dropped it that night, the day they got it, so he would have had to have, so in order for him to know that it was Speckled. Because now it looks speckled because of the paint that's on it. Right? I think. Oh, is that right? Okay, I'm gonna get all my lives back. Excusez-moi. I want all my lives back. Alright. Oh my gosh. Why do I keep doing that? Card. Mr. Atme, if you really are Master Mask, then you also wrote this calling card, correct? But of course. Is there a problem with that calling card? Allow me to read a passage from the calling card that Master Mask had written. Take good care of that speckled urn. Now, the speckled urn here surely refers to the pink paint on the sacred urn. Yes, that is true, but so what? Truth be told, there is no way that Master Mask could have known about this pattern. What do you mean? This pink spotted pattern on the urn is actually nothing more than paint stains. Paint stains? And these stains did not appear until after the urn had been taken to Lordly Taylor. I'm not finding this joke to be very funny, Mr. Trite. The day that the sacred urn was taken to the warehouse, the urn was broken due to human error, or should I say, an error-prone human. And that's when the pink paint got on the urn. You can't be serious. And yet this calling card clearly mentions this paint pattern. Which means Detective Atme had seen this urn long before the crime ever took place. In fact, he saw it when this fake photo was taken. And because this photo is a fake, your alibi for the night of the murder no longer holds water. Witness, do you have anything to say for yourself? Alright, that did it. He's broken. Nick? I think it's still a little early for a victory pose. Huh? Ha. It's so sad. No one has any conviction these days. Conviction, you say? Yesterday, we all decided unanimously that this man was Master Mask. And now we're calling him a murderer? He can be both. You don't think we're being a tad fickle? That's a good point. No way, don't fall for that too, Your Honor. You say that Luke Atme was the one who killed Kane Bullard. Then let me ask you this, why would he do that? An excellent point. Motive, Mr. Wright, motive. Might you, my merry murderous motive manifest? Nick, he's getting a second wind. If he prepared an alibi and pinned his crime on Ron Delight, as you say, he must have had a very strong motive for murder. The only one with any motive we've seen is Ron Delight. Isn't that right, detective? Indeed, according to my own research, the boy's motive is clear. Without a motive, it's nearly impossible to prove guilt in a murder case. Now then, maybe you can enlighten us to what the defendant's motives were? I'd be honored to, Sir Oldtimer. They're doing everything they can to make Ron look suspicious. Despite our lack of hard information, this may be our only chance. What is the motive for murder? I, Luke Atme, had no points of contact with the victim whatsoever. Kane Bullard decided to investigate Master Mask and simply mistook who he was. It was Mr. Bullard who wrote the blackmail letter and sent it to Ron Delight. And it was again Mr. Bullard who harbored a grudge against Mr. Delight for his betrayal. Mr. Bullard's mistake is quite excusable. The defendant truly believes he is Master Mask. That is why Mr. Delight saw it fit to kill Kane Bullard. Truly a tragedy. So the victim, Kane Bullard, blackmailed the defendant? This is a blackmail letter found in the defendant's apartment. A handwritten test confirms that Mr. Bullard was indeed the one who wrote the letter. What? Very well, Mr. Wright. Begin your cross-examination. I mean, we knew Bullard most likely wrote was blackmailing Ronnie, so that's not that big of a surprise. Alright. Let's save this real quick. I had no points of contact with the victim whatsoever. And who in the world is going to prove... Phoenix, what are you doing? After doing a thorough background check of Detective Atme and Kane Bullard, we were unable to find any links between them. It is all in the report. Perhaps they were connected through their work. They were both involved in security. Nope. That was blunt. In any case, the only one with a motive was Mr. Delight. Kane Bullard decided to investigate mask to mask and simply mistook who he was. Mistook? That's right, mistook. From the Old Norse mistake, meaning to take in error. That wasn't what I meant. Just who did the victim mistake mask to mask to be? Why, the answer is obvious. Ron Delight, of course. Boy, I like to wipe that smug look off this guy's face. Press harder. Why would the victim mistake the defendant for mask to mask? Don't you already know that? Sorry. Take a look at this newspaper. Ahoy! That's the famous Tia Ramon, a magnificent jewel. That photo shows a magnificent detective as well, does it not? Furthermore, it also shows an ugly guard, namely the defendant. The defendant? The victim clearly misread this article in Safari. He got the wrong impression. Impression that this ugly security guard was in fact mask to mask. I see. That was an unusually reasonable deduction. But he had already been fired. So yeah, it was Mr. Bullard who wrote the blackmail letter. It was again who harbored a grudge. I don't think so. What do you mean by that? Oh my, I was certain you were already aware. Sorry. KB Security has a lot of security info in all sorts of companies, and since I was security team chief, I stole data from the company. Kane Bullard had yet to forgive Mr. Delight, which is why he sent him that letter mistakenly believing he was the thief. Here is a file that we discovered in Mr. Bullard's office, evidence that Mr. Bullard was receiving money through blackmail. However, isn't this a bit odd? Why did the defendant pay Mr. Bullard the money, even though he wasn't actually mask to mask? On that point, it was an unfortunate bit of chance. Mr. Bullard's mistake was quite excusable. Do you really think that story is going to hold up? That assertion is not merely my own, I'm afraid. What do you mean? I have here a memo from Ron Delight's wife, Desiree Delight. Ronnie thinks he's mask to mask. Don't you feel sorry for him? Please don't think too badly of him. Well, she doesn't know. Ha. Well, Mr. Trite. Ugh. Was he just trying to act like Miss Delight just now? I thought he was actually pretty convincing. That is why Mr. Light saw it fit to kill Kane Bullard. Cried a tragedy. Your urn. And the second, he was directed by blackmail letters. I mean... it would have to be something along the lines of... The handwriting is without a doubt the victim's. There's no mistake. But I don't see an addressee on this letter anywhere. An addressee. This letter was discovered in Ron Delight's apartment. Mr. Delight did show up at the designated place and time. The fact that there is no addressee is irrelevant. I wonder. What's up, Nick? I just had a thought. What if the blackmail letter wasn't meant for Mr. Delight? Whoa, do you have any evidence of that? For some reason, I just can't shake the feeling that there's something not quite right about this blackmail letter. Well, everyone, are you quite satisfied? My thing is the blackmail letter says, it talks about the red diamond. I think I need to present this. Mind if I ask you a few questions, Detective Atme? Well, if it's just a few, I guess it's alright. When you said this letter was addressed to Ron Delight, I couldn't help but notice one major contradiction. Contradiction? I don't know where a walking contradiction like you gets off saying things like that. You're one to talk. At times like these, men are made to express themselves with their fists. Why don't you show us what you've got there, Junior? Indeed, time to man up, Mr. Wright. Show us the contradicting evidence and the content of the blackmail letter. Wait, what? Show us the contradicting evidence and the content. Are we talking about the red diamond? I have no clue what it's trying to get me to do. Show us the contradicting evidence. Oh, he was directed to steal. Ha! A little 2-1 punch like that wouldn't faze me. I think you mean 1-2 punch. Mr. Wright, try thinking things through a little more before finding alternate others. I guess I did the wrong thing. Alright, a few questions. Do I need to present the letter? Because if so, that's really weird. Ha. Okay, yeah. Great, that wasn't right. I'm happy about that. What? We don't have enough. Okay, let me look through the. Okay, if you don't want your identity revealed to the world, come to KB Security at 1 AM on October 12th and bring. Oh, it's the fact that he didn't have 50. He wasn't paid $50,000 for it, was he? I think that's it. Oh my gosh, I did not mean that. Let's do this. Oh my gosh, I did it again. Right, not right. finally get that presented. And then I think the file doesn't say anything about $50,000, right? Huh, a little... What? That makes total sense. October 12th, if you don't. October 12th at 1 a.m. Connected to the basement. October 12th. Stealing as directed. I'm totally not sure. It has something with the red diamond, doesn't it? Please receive the testimony. Again, who harbored a grudge. Not if he was blackmailing him. I mean... The only thing I can really think of now is if he really did have a grudge, then wouldn't his testimony about the blackmailing just this file receiving money through blackmail. Isn't that a bit odd? Why did the defendant pay Mr. Bullard the money even though he wasn't actually masked to mask? He didn't pay the money. Delight didn't pay the money. He was given money in exchange for these things. I don't know. I'm going to look it up. Let's see. Ow. Yeah, this makes... I would have never gotten it because I was thinking about something else. Because he has a red diamond. Alright. I'm going to load it back up to where I was. So, apparently, I was on the right track with the blackmail letter. The problem was that the red diamond that he's talking about is not the red diamond that he has. I thought he was talking about Atmy's red diamond because he does have that. Okay, I was getting jewels confused, which is the gist of... Which was the gist of the problem. Couldn't help contradiction. Alright. So he was talking about the diamond of the Jewel of Iman. And the problem with that exactly is that it is blue, not red. And this gem is the only one that Ron would have stolen. And who do we know that has a red diamond? at me. So I was thinking way too far ahead, apparently. Because I was thinking, hey, it doesn't say that he has another jewel in his record, so it can't be wrong. That's what I was thinking. Went way too ahead. Take a good look at this newspaper clipping. It contains a picture of the Tear of Amon, the stolen jewel. What about it? Problem is this jewel's color. Color? I'm not much for discussing color myself. According to the clipping, the color of the stolen jewel was blue. However, in the blackmail letter, a totally different jewel is mentioned. I'll take that red diamond you received the other day. Red. Which means the red diamond described in the blackmail letter is not the Tear of Amon that Master stole at all. And your point is, Mr. Trite? So you're trying to say this blackmail letter was intended for someone else? That is what you're trying to say, right, Trite? Is that what you're trying to say, right, Mr. Wright? Well, is that what you're trying to say, right, Nick? Yes. This is who King Bullard was actually blackmailing. The actual person with the red jewel. Naturally, it was you, Detective Atme. Do you have some sort of basis for that claim? You have been personally involved in every single Master Mask case, and in this last case you've recovered what was stolen, and received a jewel as your reward. A jewel. Probably the one wrapped conspicuously around your finger. That red diamond ring. That is the diamond referred to in the letter, which means that Kane Bullard wrote the letter in order to blackmail you. Order in the court. Order, I say. It seems you've gone too far with your childish pranks, Mr. Trite. Uh-oh, I don't like the way you said that. Kane Bullard blackmailing Luke Atme. Are you for real? Yes, I am. Nick, come on, stand up to him. Then answer me this. The blackmail letter contains the following passage. If you don't want your identity revealed to the world. Yes, it certainly does. Kane Bullard threatened to make Luke Atme's identity public knowledge. An identity he wanted to keep secret. So just what was that? Identity. What was the identity he wanted to keep secret? Let's see. Wanted to keep his identity as a detective, because that meant the world to him. Luke Atme was an ace detective. Oh, I went about that the wrong way. Oops. King Bullard Atme's identity public knowledge. He wasn't Master Mask, but he would have been the blackmailer. I thought it meant he wanted to keep his identity as an ace attorney instead of hiding the fact that he was an ace attorney. I totally read that wrong. Luke Atme was a blackmailer. Objection. Hey now, isn't it a little different from what you've been saying? You've said that Kane Bullard was the one blackmailing Luke Atme. Are you saying that Atme was blackmailing someone else on top of that? Ugh, you have to admit, that does sound a little odd. It's not odd. It's the only thing that makes any sense. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atme. But Ron DeLight was also being blackmailed by a certain someone. So, did you start receiving blackmail letters after this incident? Yes, just a few days after the Tier of Amon heist. After that, I started getting the plans in the mail. I received plans from some very kind person. Incredibly detailed plans. Detailed plans? In which case, that would mean that Ron Delight was actually mask to mask. That is what we are claiming. Someone else came up with the plans and had Mr. Delight steal his targets for him. And that someone was none other than Luke Atme. Shh, silence. Hee hee hee. Now I see. It's all becoming clear. What is? When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Careless, with a tendency to jump to conclusions. Am I wrong? How did you... You say that Luke Atme, was blackmailing Ron Delight, in which case I would naturally know about his relation to Mask to Mask. Well, yes. Ron Delight started receiving plans from his second crime onward, correct? Which means I learned of his identity when he committed the first crime. Good point. You certainly couldn't have blackmailed him otherwise. Unless he's looked at the newspaper clipping. In that case, let's see some hot, bitter evidence. During the first crime, how did Luke Atme know that Ron Delight was Mask the Mask? The newspaper clipping. I think I see it. See what? When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Gets into lots of mischief trying to be the center of attention. What do you mean? This newspaper clipping has a picture of you and Ron Delight in his guard uniform. It seems that Mask to Mask just didn't disappear into thin air. He just took off his outfit and hid it in a bucket. That sounds far too stupid to be true. Correct. With tricks like that, he couldn't fool a baby, let alone an ace detective. And that's when you figured it out, Mr. Atme. That's when you learned that under his mask, Mask to Mask was really Ron Delight. What though? Wasn't he supposed to be Mask to Mask? Not only that, it looks like he wasn't even an ace detective. Can't believe it, he was just a slimy blackmailer. What a fraud, trying to pass himself as an ace detective. Why you? How dare you expose me like that? Why I mean, I never blackmailed anyone in my life. I'm a famous and proud ace detective, and also Mask to Mask. Why can't you understand that? Because it makes no sense. I'm afraid you are neither a proud thief nor an ace detective. You're a blackmailer and a murderer. That is your true identity. Why you... How dare you even dare to... That's why you're trying to do yourself big mouth. You are real fools. I say none of you can compare to my genius. Just jealous, Gushin, discorrente, camerante. Grace detective cannot handle this blackmail murder. Ha 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 ha. It's enough to make one laugh. I have no clue what he was trying to say. It would seem we finally arrived at the real answer. That was quite a performance by Mr. Atme. Bailiff, please prepare a cell for Mr. Atme. What is he doing? Please don't make this continue. The hammer that strikes too fast has no time to aim. What do you mean? I'm already prepared to deliver my ruling. Allow me to say one thing. I will be the one to judge. No, you're not. You don't get much more in your face than that. It appears that your claws weren't quite sharp enough, Mr. Trite. What do you mean? It's true that you've proven a lot of things. Things like Luke Atme was a filthy blackmailer, and that he wasn't at Lord Taylor the night of the murder. That's right. That's why he's the one who killed Mr. Bolt. But there's still one thing you have yet to prove. What's that? Just because he wasn't at the warehouse doesn't mean he wasn't at the murder scene. Therefore, if you cannot prove this pitiful excuse for a man was at KB security, then I don't see how a verdict can be delivered. No way. Order in the court. Well, Mr. Wright, But this is it. This is the final round. Got to prove that Acme was at Buller's office on the night. But can you really prove that? That's long enough. Mr. Tripe, I want to hear your answer. You're not going to hear my answer yet. That night, Lou Acme was at KB Security and the defense can prove it. Are you sure? Ha. Don't you worry, I'll watch over you as you break down and fall to pieces. Very well then, let's see this proof. Prove that Acme was at KB Security that night. Was it? He wears gloves. This is the proof. Nope. However, I'm not so foolish. That doesn't. Ooh. Flavor of Special Godot Blend 49. Well, Mr. Wright, it's bitter. Very bitter. Come on, don't give up. Can I prove it? Okay. Okay, so like the thing is that this had to have hit someone on the head. And we do know that Ron was knocked out. It has to be the sword, doesn't it? Like, the sword being broken does prove that someone was hit over the head, as Ronnie exclaimed. What? Ugh. What is this supposed to be? Okay, hear your answer. I mean, unless I'm just not supposed to say I can prove it. Like, we knew he had to have eventually gone to the warehouse because this was moved. Let's see, the wallet that Bruce Ron went in. I mean, found in the shadows, which means it probably fell off. Probably might have been ripped from the uniform. Blunt trauma to the head. Also could have hit Bullard over the head. Kind of table the crime scene. I'm going to assume those were all the things stolen. That night Acme was at KB Security, and the defense can maybe do something? I'm gonna I don't know how we can prove it. I'm gonna try one last thing before I look it up. Proof that Acme was at. Like, the thing is, this was torn off, which means there probably was a struggle. This is the proof. Nope. Ouch. I just guess we can't prove it. Because I have no clue how. I can't prove it. I didn't think of it. Just as I thought. But if we hear more of the Detective Acme's testimony, Unfortunately, that's as far as you go, Mr. Trite. What do you mean? I won't allow for any more testimony, that's what I mean. What? Have you forgotten? Luke Atme is here after we interrupted his own trial, and you have failed to prove that he committed the murder. I think it's time for this witness to return to his own trial and face his guilty verdict as Master Mask. No. Well now, Sir Lawyer, it seems that love wins out in the end after all. I am the ace detective as well as Master Mask. My verdict will verify that. Just as Ron Delights will verify that he's a true murderer. Declare this with the full force of ace detectiveness. Order. Don't give up now, Nick. We still have tomorrow. We can look for more evidence, and by then it'll be too late. Huh? Why? He'll already be double jeopardy on the basic rules of any court of law. Double jeopardy. Should a defendant be tried and found innocent in court, that defendant cannot be tried again for the same crime. This is the fundamental rule of all courts, and it applies to this witness as much as it applies to everyone else. Mr. Atme was found guilty in a matter of minutes, guilty as Master Mask, which means he will be innocent as far as the murder Kane Bullard is concerned. No way, the fact that you are unable to prove means that he will never be tried as Kane Bullard's murderer. Yeah, figured. Yeah, I don't know how I would have been able to prove that. Now there's nothing I could possibly do to win. Even if Ron is proclaimed to be innocent, the real killer Luke Atme will go free. Technically he'll be jailed. The problem examined every statement the witness has made here today. As long as there is no more testimony, I'm afraid I have to declare that there will be no further questioning of this witness. Are there any objections? Mia, please help. Then I hereby end the cross-examination of Luke Atme. I think I see it. Your Honor, when you were a child, this is what was on your report card every year. Has poor hearing and often makes mistakes as a result. So, how did you... Phoenix, raise your head up high. Have you forgotten what I used to tell you? A lawyer is someone who smiles no matter how bad it gets. That voice. No way. It is Mia. Long time no see, Phoenix. Mia. This is the true power of the Quran channeling technique. I know that it's really Maya who's standing before me, but right now she's my mentor, Mia Fey. Now, let's do this. But there's nothing more we can do, Mia. Without any more testimony, you can't cross-examine. Not yet. Testimony's not over yet. But what do you mean? Your Honor, just now you said something very interesting. You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today. Yes, that's true, but unfortunately, Your Honor, you were forgetting something. Earlier, after last cross-examination, this witness made a number of remarks. Well now, Sir Lawyer, it seems that love wins out in the end after all. I am the ace detective as well as Master Mask. My verdict will verify that. Just as Ron Delights will verify that he is the true murderer. I declare it with the full force of my ace detectiveness. Yes, but these comments appear to have no importance whatsoever. Very well, then we shall prove their importance via cross-examination. At any rate, as long as the witness has made these remarks, we, the defense, assert our right to question them. Is that alright with you, prosecutor? Is something the matter, Mr. Godot? Nothing. Oh, Sir Lawyer, looks like you're one step too late. You think such falsehoods would do anything to me, Luke Atme? Let's hear it. Huh? It's true that the witness made some remarks. So then, let's hear this last bit of cross-examination. Mr. Godot, what are you? Very well then, Mr. Luke Atme. I'm going to allow the defense to cross-examine your earlier remarks. The defense would like to hear why you declare the defendant to be the true murderer. So please, give us one last bit of testimony. Phoenix, this is it. This is our absolute last chance. Yes, Chief. Indeed, it is true that I was not at Lordly Taylor. I had to leave to see about another vitally important job request. I hadn't known about the date beforehand, so I had this photograph readied. My brilliant deduction was that informed me that the true culprit was Ron Delight. And thanks to the key card and wallet, it is abundantly clear that he was there. I was also able to make a deduction from the buzzer, which was only sounded once. The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? The victim would have left prints if he sounded it, which means the killer sounded it. Mr. Light was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit, which is why he left no prints. In the blackmail letter, the victim likely just mistook the color of the jewel. This is Vari. Therefore, all the evidence points to that poor boy. Actually, the testimony doesn't hold up because we know that Ronnie was there for like extra time. The witness's earlier remarks do not appear to have been hastily prepared. All of his points have been explained and none of them seem to contradict anything. But of course. But how did you know about the emergency buzzer? The police investigation documents went directly through me. And I always look over all the documents. It's elementary, Sir Lawyer. Grr. Are you going to make even trouble for us now, Sir Lawyer? I will not allow your usual shenanigans, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. We cannot postpone Luke Atmy's trial any longer. This is your last chance. Hang on a second. Just one chance? Huh. It seems that the party is about to begin. Well, Phoenix, there isn't any evidence that contradicts that testimony. So it was seen. What do you mean, so it was seen? Listen, Phoenix, pointing out contradictions doesn't always mean you have to present evidence, does it? At any rate, this is our last chance. If you can't point out a case-breaking contradiction, you lose. That's all there is to it. Cup number 17, the last cup. It seems like the time has come to put an end to this trial. I have to find a fatal contradiction in this testimony, and I need to point it out without presenting evidence. Which means all I can do is find the contradictory remark and press it. Remember, you only get one chance. Very well then, Mr. Wright. Please begin your final cross-examination. Okay, I'm going to save, because this is, I'm not going to redo this if I end up getting it wrong. Had to leave about another vitally important job request. I hadn't known about the date beforehand, so I had this photograph readied. My brilliant reduction was what informed me that the true culprit, key card, was also able to make deduction from the buzzer. Why? Which is why he left. No. Blackmail letter, the victim just likely mistook the color of the jewel. And date for what? If you had known about, the only thing you would have known the date for something was that. Mr. Atmy, about this last remark. You still don't get it, do you, Trite? This isn't the time to be pressing the witness on every little statement. What? I said this before. There's still one thing you haven't proven. That scum was in Kane Bullard's office that night, and now? What? Oh my gosh, I can't even. Great. And I accidentally pulled up Microsoft Explorer. Good thing I saved it. Okay, so apparently there wasn't suspicious about him knowing the date of the murder. Okay then. He wasn't at Lord Taylor, at leave. Job request. Informed me. Thanks to the key card and wallet. Well, we know he was there. Only sounded once. He did say he looked through the police record. The victim would have left prints, which means the killer sounded it. Mr. Light was wearing his mask-to-mask costume. The blackmail letter, the victim most likely just mistook the color of the jewel. And the thing is, he is right about that. Tear of Amon jewel. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about color. That still doesn't really explain why he's like, I just knew it was him. Only sounded once. I want... if I... Mr. At me, about this last remark. Nope. Crap. No. Okay, so I can't even go back. I hate that. Key. Alright. What is the breaking news? He admits he wasn't at Lord Taylor, which we know. I had to leave to see another vitally important job request. Apparently he won't tell us what that is. I had known about the dates beforehand, so I had this photograph readied. I mean, I think the statement directly links that he knew about the other blackmail, but apparently that's not it. My brilliant deduction was what informed me that the true culprit was Ron Delight. And thanks to the key card and wallet, it was abundantly clear that he was there. And we know he was there. I was also able to make a deduction from the buzzer, which was only sounded once. Button didn't have any fingerprints. I mean, you also wear gloves. I mean, this dude does wear gloves, right? Yeah, he's wearing his mask. I don't know. Wait, what Ronnie was wearing wasn't part of the record. The only thing he would not have known would have been this. Mr. Atme, about this last remark. What? You still don't get it? I'm afraid you're the one who still doesn't get it, Mr. Goodell. What? Mr. Atme, it seems you have finally admitted that you were in the CEO's office on the night of the murder. How can you say that? Let's review your testimony, shall we, Mr. Atme? The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? Mr. Light was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit. Is that correct? Indeed, that's what I said. My deductions are absolutely foolproof. More like your deductions prove that you are a fool. I'm sorry, whatever do you mean? For some reason, I'm starting to get really thirsty. When exactly did we learn that the fact that Ron Delight was dressed as mask to mask when he went to the scene of the crime? That was, it was just a few hours ago, back when my sixth cup was looking at me with a cold stare. Huh? Oh, I did forget to mention it before. I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until now. That's right. The defendant had yet to tell anyone else the fact before this morning. Therefore, the only people who would have known are those who have been watching this trial. Do you understand now, Detective Atme? There is no way that you should have known about that. Great. You were in the next courtroom being tried as mask to mask. So then enlighten us. How did you know about that piece of information? Well... Come on, this detective must have known about it. Probably had plenty of chances to find out beforehand. No, that makes no sense. And it's those chances that I want to discuss next. That night, Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit. There is one and only one way for Detective Atme to have found that out. Only one way you say. Please recall, if you will, Mr. Delight's testimony. When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. For a second, my client witnessed the real killer. But Mr. Delight never saw his attacker, so there's no way to tell whether or not the real killer was Luke Atme. It's with that statement that I'll turn this case on its head. Just what are you implying? Mr. Delight saw the real killer, correct? Now if you turn that statement around, stands to reason that the real killer also seen Ron Delight. Impossible. Like, I knew it was him because of the outline, but that still just felt like such a projection. Detective Atme, you saw Mask to Mask at the murder scene that night. You saw him when you killed Kane Bullard and assaulted Ron Delight. That was the only way you could have known what Ron was wearing. What's going on? Oh. I think this should come with an epilepsy warning. This is really messed up. Take a good look, everyone. Unable to find a rival worthy of my genius, I was forced to create one by myself. Here I am, the tragic clown. You're not a very good joker. Let's just all admit that. That's the same line you gave yesterday. But I think there's a little more meaning behind it this time. That was way too difficult. That was interesting. What an awfully complicated incident. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atme, who was in turn blackmailing Ron Delight. And upon killing his blackmailer, Luke Atme tried to frame Ron Delight. Then he claimed to be guilty as mask to mask in order to escape his true crime. And to that end, he came up with his plan, to use the double jeopardy rule when making his alibi. At any rate, it would seem we finally found the truth. Excuse me. I came perilously close to besmirching the record of an innocent young man. Besmirching him with the title of murderer. Don't ignore me. Oh, I didn't realize you were there. Why wouldn't he be? About the verdict. I know. You never committed any murder. That's right. I'm so glad you understand that, but I really am mask to mask. Huh? So thanks to that trial yesterday, I'm innocent now, right? No, because you weren't on trial. What was it you said? Double jeopardy? Now that you mention it. I've been careless. Careless? What do you think, Mia? As the defendant says, the rule of double jeopardy is absolute. A defendant can never be tried twice for a crime in which he was once found innocent. Then, mask to mask is really innocent? It would seem so. For now. For now? If his wife leaves him, he's not going to do it any longer. Now then, this court finds the defendant. Yay. That was way too difficult. And confusing. My head really does hurt. Wait, this is really lucky. Wait, this isn't so good after all. You see, the thing is, I still am mask to mask after all. Well, yeah. But now your wife knows, so I don't think it's gonna work out. You did it, Phoenix. Thanks, Mia. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Yeah, it's because Maya doesn't call on me much these days. Oh? I'm just joking, Phoenix. Don't ever take everything so seriously. But on the other hand, Maya, she seems kind of torn these days. You mean about becoming the master of the Quran channeling school? Becoming the master means saying goodbye to our mother. Misty Faye, right? Watch over her, will you, Phoenix? Of course. Well then, see you around. Mia. Mr. Wright? I don't know what to say. Congratulations, Mr. Delight. But thank you so much. No, wait. Nothing really matters anymore, though, now that all of this has happened. Come on, just be happy already. Maya, you've been cleared of the murder charges and got off as master to boot. But in exchange, I lost everything. Huh? What do you mean? Stealing security information from KB Security, becoming master mask. I did all for one reason. For her. You mean your wife, Desiree. She hates criminals more than anything. Come to think of it, she was once held hostage by some robbers, wasn't she? She always said how she hated sneaky criminals. I knew that, but once I got fired from KB Security and I lost all the money I had, she wouldn't have any reason to stay with me. I thought she would leave me for sure. So that's why you became Master Mask. Yeah, he told us that before. Why are we rehashing this? Yes, but it's all over now. A broken bowl can never be put back together. That's not true, right, Nick? Right. Really? Can we go back to the way things were? No. You'll be fine, and Nick can prove it. I can? Kinda wish you would check with me first. Mr. Light, even if a bowl is broken, there's always a way to put it back together. Take this urn, for example. The sacred urn? Desi was the one who found this. Desiree, your wife, she's always believed in you, Ron. That's why you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about anything. Ah, there you are. Miss Delight. You did it, Ronnie. You're innocent. I'm so happy. Thank you. I appreciate that, but, I suppose you don't want anything more to do with me, do you? Ronnie, why didn't you talk to me about what was going on? I had no idea you'd quit KB Security. I never imagined that you were really Master Mask either. Miss Delight, what are you going to do now that you know? You're not going to really leave him, are you? Come on, it's obvious, isn't it? How could I ever let a wonderful man like him get away? After all, my bike's really fast. So fast there's no way he could ever get away. But didn't you say that you hated criminals? Oh, I only hate people who act all cowardly and sneaky. Like that detective. I see. My Ronnie went and declared his crimes before he committed them, like a man. I just love a man who's so chivalrous. Chivalrous? I knew I was right about you. Every day I spend with you is filled with thrills and excitement. But Desi... Desiree, you really do love Ron, don't you? Nicky boy. Yes? I'm really glad I asked you to defend my Ronnie. Thank you so much. I'll never forget what you've done for us. Oh, well, take care of yourself. You too, Nicky boy. I can feel my face going red. Mr. Nick, Mystic Maya, congratulations! Talk about bad timing. Mr. Nick, how could you? With another man's wife in front of Mystic Maya? No, you got it wrong. I will never forgive you, ever. Never, ever. Pearl is trying to get us arrested. So just as the case came to a close, so too did my consciousness. Ron said a broken bowl can never be put back together. But I know that's not true. I mean, just look. Oh, that's actually really cute. Here's a perfect example of one that was put back together, even better than before. Oh, that's really cute. A stolen turnabout. The end. That was beautiful. What's the next case? A recipe for turnabout? Interesting. It's probably going to happen at a bakery. And Phoenix is going to talk to some sci-fi guy. That's what it looks like so far. But yes, this was a super interesting case. It broke my mind just as I thought it would. Like, I'm still missing the part where, like, everything after the fact, it does make sense. But, like, during the trial, which would be before the second part today, there was no reason for us to necessarily say at me. It's like, yes, we as a character, like, we as Phoenix should not have known it was at me. Like, I suppose we, the player, could have known it was at me because we definitely saw his outline. Like, I 100% remember myself saying that the outline looked like at me. But there was nothing within the evidence that necessarily pointed towards him. Other than, we don't like him, so to say. Yeah, other than that one part, I really like this case. It was mind numbing with how difficult it was at some parts, but I really liked it. I'll definitely probably have to replay this again just to get like all the intricacies that this case has to offer. But I will see you guys next time, probably right from here, because there's probably going to be a beginning cutscene. So yeah, I'll see you here next time. See you guys later. Bye!